There are a ton of idiots right now in America that have no idea how tariffs work. We're going to dig into it, but frankly, they have no idea that the United States has been taken advantage of for 60 years and completely thrown by the wayside while everybody else succeeds off our back. Let's get into it. Okay, so people are losing their minds. As they burn Teslas that they used to love, they're saying that Trump and his tariffs are cruel, unusual, and, like USAID, terrible and despotic, that he's going to destroy the economy, and that the only thing that he knows how to do is be a dictator and destroy, and oh, let's not forget, enrich his friends. So let's back up, get into the backstory just briefly on tariffs, globalism, and world trade. Now, many of you are conspiracy theorists. You're terrible people, as you know. As some would say, it starts with an N, ends with an I. Now, people really don't know that post World War II, when the Bretton Woods institutions were created, that would be the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and subsequently the World Trade Organization. Now, post war efforts were to reconstruct the modern world and create a global economy that stabilized currencies, created uniform standards for trade, and in war torn countries, they need to be built up. Okay. So we got that part, but people, I need you to understand that's not while everybody else was getting built up, the United States, like a thief in the night, quietly slipped by the wayside while off our backs, everybody was doing better. Their economies were growing. Our economy in the 50s, booming. Let's go. It was great. Well, as time went on, we continue to support and fund. Now, I thought we were supposed to be creating a global economy where everybody's doing better. Okay. Well, frankly, what was happening is we were helping them grow, as I've said, but we were also giving them free money. And then they were also charging us tariffs. They continued to progressively get worse, charging us tariffs while we don't charge them anything. And people say it's not good to do to our allies. We shouldn't charge our allies to do business with us. Well, why are they charging us? We've been growing everything across the globe while you all are charging us. What, I don't understand. So where's the disconnect? Well, it's this backwards thinking that has gotten to us to this point where trade deficits are mind blowing. We don't We'll look at a graph here in just a second. It's shocking how tremendous our trade deficit is, and we've got a couple of other issues where, with China specifically, you've heard this term thrown around, currency manipulation. Well, what is that? We'll look at it too. So, to explain GDP, and I hope for those of you watching, I hope you walk away from this video with a little more knowledge. And if you don't know much about economics, we'll dig into that too. But tariffs specifically, you'll understand how, even indirectly, these tariffs are going to tremendously help our economy, our production, and the lives of workers and the lives of American citizens, albeit maybe with some short term pain. But to rebuild after decades of being taken advantage of, some pain is required. So here we have broken down simply four segments, four sectors, so to speak, of what tariffs are and how they're implemented and what they do to an economy and, frankly, what their objective is. So let's decode tariffs here. Motivations and implications. First, we've got decoupling, which is to shift supply chains and reduce reliance on certain countries. You'll notice something funny happens in this graph. China is in every single one of them. Funny enough, they were a developing country back when all of this stuff started really blowing up. They're developed now, you'd say, but people don't live very good lives over there. If you are to want labor laws, well, they don't really have any. If you're 4 years old, by all means, go work in a sweatshop. So when you look at these potential impacts, high, impact, and persistent, you'll see temporary in just a moment. Countries, China alone. Those industries would include tech, energy, industrial, materials, pharma, biotech, and aircraft. What happens is they can produce things at such a significantly lower price and then export it here while they manipulate their currency. It double screws us. Our The dollar is affected negatively. The yuan is affected negatively, but it's only just allowing them to uh, screw us over even more. Now, rebalancing, which was reducing trade tariffs or trade deficits and boosting domestic production. Those potential impacts would be medium, persistent, and mixed. Persistent, again, this is going to stay for the long haul. It's going to be continue to be applied. Um, that would be, as you see here, China, European Union, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, India, Mexico, Canada, and Brazil. Virtually add auto and steel, food, chemicals, consumer electronics, pharma, luxury, defense, energy, and oil. That great defense industry that we all love. And next is the negotiating sector, which, as you would imagine, if I were to tell you, hey, you're going to charge me 15% on everything that I export to you or that you buy from us, you are ripping me off, right? How is it fair? This is what this term reciprocal tariff comes from. That's not fair. That's not fair trade. That's not what the Bretton Woods institutions was trying to create. It was supposed to be fair trade and modernizing uh, and creating a level playing field for everyone, specifically with the IMF as it relates to currency. Same, virtually, just add agriculture here. That's a low, it's very temporary. That's a negotiating tool that could last a couple days, instant, or weeks and months. But typically, that's a very short term tactic. This isn't complicated stuff here, guys. Funding. This is for the leftists, the liberals that don't understand how any of this works. Funding to generate revenue to fund budget priorities. That would be another persistent one and a high impact one at that. This is a universal tariff. Trump has floated the idea of doing 10% or 20% tariffs for everyone who wants to do business with us. What's the objective of all of this? Is the question people may ask. The objective is to bring industry back to America. Our GDP is tanking. It's been terrible for a long time. This is why we have such a bad and severe trade deficit with everyone. If we bring domestic, or if we bring production back domestically, what happens? We create jobs. The overall economy improves. The dollar strengthens. It's a cascading effect. Again, short term, you may have some pain, but it's a long term goal, bringing industry back so that we're keeping money in the country, not sending it elsewhere. Now, here's an example of how high the trade deficit is. Look at this number. So, 1974, we didn't have it. We've had a trade deficit since the 70s. This is 50 years, guys. $285 billion in 1 year, 2024, with China. That's remarkable, if you ask me. So, do tariffs cause inflation? The answer is yes. Why? Because the consumer, there's going to be a mix. How much are the companies going to pay and the country is going to pay of these tariffs? And how much are they going to sacrifice profit? Well, what they're willing to sacrifice, the consumers pay the rest. So, does it cause inflation to a degree? Yes, in the short term, because we're paying more for products. The consumer, at the end of the day, is going to pay some percentage increase on products for that reason. Now, secondly, if we're going to increase our production, incomes go up, jobs come back, and we're able to buy products here. Now, the thing that people will say is, well, if it's produced here and we have to pay people more, does that not mean we're going to pay higher prices for the products? Well, it does, but what's the long term effect of a healthier economy? More people make more money, more people are employed, unemployment goes down. And here's where there's a cascading effect. If we bring the steel industry back, or the auto industry back, or agriculture expands, you've got to understand it's not just the people in a factory working with steel. There are the supply chain is a long series of events that gets you from raw materials to finished product. You don't just get jobs because you've got steel industry coming back and steel company or steel plants popping up or auto plants, whatever. You've got the raw materials. So you have millions of jobs created over 10 years versus what people think is, oh, people got some jobs. 50,000 jobs were added in the last month and they're all auto workers. It's not like that. There's a lot of different steps in the process. You can imagine the impact on GDP if you look at it with an exponential, under the lens of exponential growth. Now, What we'll look at here next. This is what Trump was talking about. This is Liberation Day, guys. We have been liberated from the abusive tactics of other countries and the acceptance of it by the global governance. The ruling class does not want a strong, independent America. This is why we've globalized. This is why our leaders seem like they are subservient to other countries. Well, one, because they've been paid for it, but two, the strongest country in the world doesn't need to have the most happy, healthy, and successful citizenry because you keep people down, they don't fight back. So, this is what Trump was showing at Liberation Day. People don't realize how important this topic is. Look at this China, tariffs charged to the USA. Now, if we zoom in here, this is also including currency manipulation. Currency manipulation, again, China limits how much of their money can be traded on the markets and they cap. So they cap how much can be traded, and then they suppress the value of their money while ours remains where it is. So we're getting double screwed with the tariff and the currency manipulation. 67% from China. The EU is charging us 39%. What I thought that they were our ally. And not to mention they're charging us this tariff and they're stealing our industry. If you're another country, sure, take advantage of the US because they're letting you. I mean, you would, if we're patriotic people, we want to succeed, not other countries as much as us. We care about our people. Vietnam, 90%. What is Vietnam? What do they think? They're doing. Taiwan, 64%. It's funny how they even put Taiwan. Japan, 46%. India, 52%. Thailand, 72%. Now look at this. Israel, 33%. But aren't we sending them billions of dollars a year to do whatever they want? Here's a fun fact for you. The money we send, you'll love this. The money that we send to Israel that they do whatever they want with, if we give them money, that money is monitored. Pretty easy to assume. We send them money, we can track it. Well, what we do is we give them money via loans. Now, where does it get interesting there is that through a loan, let's just call it laundering money, they don't have any obligation to let us know what they're doing with the money. Interesting. So you see, everybody is getting over on us. And the reciprocal tariff that Trump has proposed that he's going to institute, hopefully to bring back a ton of industry, is noted here. I'll link this AF Post, X Post below. So what we have, guys, is let's just keep it simple. Tariffs need to be instituted. How else are we going to bring industry back? How else are we going to keep this trade deficit from continuing to balloon? It's essential. There's no other way to do it because there's no other way to incentivize companies to come back because they can't sell their vehicles here without drastically decreasing their profit margin. That alone should tell you that these tariffs are very significant in a good way. Tell your liberal friends that they need to learn some economics. They need to learn that there is a ton of in between for each finished product. And that boosts an economy and increases the well being, improves the lives of every citizen of the United States, even if you don't work in a factory or you're not in agriculture or you're not in pharmaceuticals. It doesn't matter. If you bring industry back, people will succeed. We need to stop letting the United States get screwed over in everything we do. And then America will be back, baby. And stop fighting everybody's wars. Israel can fight their own wars. We don't need to fight their wars. We don't need to be goaded into fighting wars, increasing our deficit, and printing more money. The economy has been screwed by these people who want it screwed. Print money and send industry overseas. Launder your money in foreign banks, overseas banks. Screw us over permanently. We will never get out of this without the tariffs. You've heard my piece. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Peace.